You're listening to From a Certain Point of View, the only Star Wars podcast to be inquisitive, but not be an inquisitor. I am Jason the Ginger Jedi Guy, broadcasting live from inside Wookiee Poo Studios. I am not alone. Please allow me to introduce your favorite wretched scum, scoundrels, and smugglers. You, the listener, can have your pick on which one's which. First up, neighbor Cole from Corelia.
Should we rebadge the name of the studio to the Inquisitorium Emporium?
Emporium? Yeah. Maybe like just for when Kenobi comes out, we'll open up the show with that.
So what do you
We're
think?
coming to you live.
Oh, is that your Inquisitor?
Yeah. It was half Inquisitor, half 60s rock DJ.
Could you get a little Casey Kasem in there? Try it.
That's more like Shaggy though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want one more Wolfman Jack.
Yeah, that's what.
Hey, listeners.
Right?
It's coming to you live from the Inquisitorium Memorial. I can't do it. Thank you for having me down here, Jason.
You're welcome.
And for the
You're welcome.
hospitality.
And you're welcome.
Again. It is a beautiful setting you have set up in here. I like it.
It's a fresh coat of paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the Inquisitorium Emporium. It's not there yet, but we'll get
I'm
there.
wondering if Mike Laybourne is blind because he painted this studio in Legos with blue and yellow, and it's clearly orange.
He's colorblind.
Yeah, what the fuck, Mike?
Yeah.
Get your shit together. For a guy who likes C-3PO so much, you should be able to tell orange from yellow.
If he ever wins a saber, we're just going to send him a clear one and tell him it's bright blue.
You won't know. He only sees in grayscale. Yeah. Shout out to our favorite listener, Mike Laybourne.
I'm sure he wrote an email. We'll get to it later. Maybe.
The one we love to hate. That's him.
He's going to be like our Matt. Hold on, it's coming to me. Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. He's going to be our Matt Damon in the Jimmy Kimmel show. Like we just run out of time for him every episode.
Sorry, Mike. Ran out of time for you. Next time.
Yep.
I guess I don't get that reference. I've never seen a whole lot of Jimmy Kimmel.
He would always joke that Matt Damon was going to be on the show, but they ran out of time. He would do it all the time.
Yeah.
What's the Conan bit where they always play that stupid alien thing?
Oh, that's Ant-Man. What's Ant-Man's name? Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd. Every time he shows up to show a clip to his movie, he shows a clip from Mac and Me with the kid dying in the wheelchair off the cliff.
Yep.
Every time.
Conan like stone faces it every time. Like I don't know how he does it. Speaking of people we want to push off a cliff in their wheelchair.
Oh, Jesus.
Courtney, how you doing? No, just kidding.
I knew that was coming.
That was a third. That was our least favorite third micer. Our favorite third micer we have coming in hot from the hyperspace lanes is Darth Mathias, aka Mart, aka Matt. Welcome to the show.
I gotta say, I'm still seething a little bit from the interview we're gonna share later because that guy really chaps my hide.
Oh,
his takes on Solo.
I'm still tweeting him negative thoughts.
How can you be seething out about an interview that hasn't taken place yet, man?
Right. We're just suspecting.
It's a premonition.
Yeah.
Okay. The force is strong with you.
That's right. I just know it's gonna go poorly.
He's gonna make a lot of valid points and really piss me off.
Quick programming reminder: our next ep will be in 2 weeks, and every other week until Kenobi. So just bear with us as we navigate this kind of semi-slow period when there's no active shows going on. Bad batch. If you email us at factpapod@gmail.com, we will get back to you. But like I said, might be a week delay depending on when you send it in.
Well, I mean, this gives them time to actually send out an email because now there's a 2-week break instead of a week. Because clearly, when we do it weekly, they're like, "Oh, I can't be bothered. I'm just I don't have enough time, and I got to send out tweets and assault the listeners, and then they send emails." So
navigating this lull between shows isn't like dusting crops, boy.
No, not at all. But I will say to our listeners, we appreciate all the emails you send in, even though Jay's banging your balls over it, because he does have to sometimes reach out to you to motivate you.
Got to rough him up.
Give your balls a tug, tit fuckers. Give us some emails.
You can find our show from acertainpointofskew.com. You can find us on Twitter at FACPApod.
And you can also email the show at facpapod@gmail.com.
I already said that.
You said you can find our show on the website, I thought.
I said it before when I was talking about people sending in emails, but you're not listening. Let's move on.
Let's not fight. So on the show today, we have the great Solo debate. So this is perfect. You guys gearing up because we're going to get into it once we get to the Solo debate with Chris Villasenor. And Chris, you're wrong. We also got a Maul Bag.
Start calling him Villain Senor.
Villain Senor.
Ooh,
I like it.
I like that one.
There, because he's got a mad take on Solo.
Yep. The pedantic Villain Senor. We've also got the Maul Bag for emails. Thank you, listeners. And we're going to wrap up the show with a surprise segment. No Factoid this week, but a surprise segment.
Ooh.
Why do you keep doing spirit fingers?
I don't know.
He's very
I
excited.
got to be animated over here. First up here, solo debate with Chris Villasenor.
Yeah, and I'm gonna warn folks. He is very cynical, very nitpicky, and like the whole Harrison Ford only said nice things about Alden Ehrenreich. When has he ever said anything nice? I'm like, we'll get into it.
Matt's really taking this opportunity to slam dunk him when he's not here to defend himself.
I might have to listen to this again just so I can stay angry with him.
You should.
Yeah.
You should.
All right.
Keep that in your heart.
He did.
It was a good conversation.
He does Jedi mind trick me a few times. Like looking back at it, he gets me to come towards his
You were
cause.
getting duped a little bit.
I mean, I felt like he made some good points, some valid points, but I'm more of in the camp. I'm the one who's kind of the negative Nancy on the show, I guess, right?
Well, so he's a politician. So this is what they do, because when I was on 2 on 3 Pod, his podcast, back in the day when Solo came out, I went in like, yeah, Solo was fun. It was great and all this stuff. And by the end of the episode, I gave it a worse grade than I really felt about it because he just fucking talked me down. Debbie Downer over there.
Oh.
I'm going to be fucking voting Democrat by the end of the week. Fucking hanging out with Chris. He's got me convinced. All right, I'm done.
So without further ado, here's our chat with Chris. With us today, a man who was on a podcast called 2 on 3 Pod, which is currently on hiatus, and we'll get into that in a second.
Dun, dun, dun.
This we go way back, this man and I. He was my manager some 20 some odd years ago. He was and still is my favorite quarterback who throws the finest deep ball in the land.
Wow.
Chris, welcome to the show, Chris.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I haven't done this in a while, have I?
It's been a couple of months. What's the story? We're still on hiatus for now?
We're still on hiatus. We had put a sort of a stake in the ground that we'd come back for the Masters golf tournament and then jump back into it then. So I don't know. It's funny because I don't know. I miss it. It's nice to be away from it, but I miss it. So I mean so having me on here, it's great. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is definitely going to scratch an itch that I've been having to talk into the internet for a while.
Let us know if you're thankful when we're done with this.
regardless, what's funny is in the off season here, I have gone into local politics. I think you guys probably from the 2 on 3 podcast remember that I had that I'm currently serving in a local office. So debate has become a little bit of my I'm stealing into it. Like there are a lot of mean things that get said at me on a regular basis now. so you guys are just a twig on the forest fire that is my life of people like yelling at me on like social media platforms. So this is actually a much friendlier confine. So I'm appreciative of that.
You're basically just a rough piece of Teflon now, like a piece of beef jerky. Yeah. Nothing's gonna wear you out.
Penetrate.
It's all about the issues. That has nothing to do with the people. It's like with us, it's like, we're cool. So whatever gets said today, happy to have the conversation.
Well, it's good to have you here. Really quickly, just to get out of the way, just how people can find you on Twitter.
They can find me at CD Villasenor on the tweet machine.
And the old show? And
the old show at 2 on 3 Pod or at 2on3pod.com. If you want to catch up on any sort of older material that we have, which might interest you here and there. So take a look at the list, see if anything appeals.
Yep, there's a lot of great stuff, a lot of great shows. Been on the show before. I can't remember. Have you guys been on the show or no?
Jay has been.
Yeah.
Neighbor Cole is yet to make his appearance, but maybe we can get him to come on this year.
I would be honored.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and you've had me on in the past. I always appreciated the fact that when a Star Wars release happened, you would usually have me on. I think we did The Rise of Skywalker. I don't know if we did Last Jedi, but we did do Solo. I don't remember anything we discussed. I don't remember any of your takes, so I'm excited to hear them again, even though they might be at odds with my own. But we're going to do like a kind of a 2 on 3 pod style breakdown of the film, which includes we start with the good, kind of what worked. We go to the bad, what maybe didn't work, and then we talk about possible ways that we would change it to make the movie better. Do I have that correct?
That's right. We call it Good, Better, How.
There you
go. Which is a standard thing that we do.
Have we even hinted at what movie we're going to be talking about? I don't even think we've said Solo yet.
Did I not say Solo? I thought I said Solo.
No,
okay.
Matt said it. Matt said it.
All right. Well, if you're following the Fact Book pod on Twitter, you pretty much know that over the last few days that I've been everybody's favorite punching bag. As considering that it seems like perhaps in our Twitter sphere, that our own close Twitter sphere, that no one has rushed to my aid at this in this debate at all. Not at all.
You're the Jar Jar Binks of our Star Wars world.
I feel myself standing alone in a moisture farm of my own.
so lonely.
It's been one of those things that's been going on for quite a long time, because whenever it comes up and you start firing heaters about Solo, I immediately jump in. Or if I say anything, you jump in on that. So this battle's been waging for many, many years.
It is one of my favorite sharp sticks to poke you with, yes, without question.
I offered to take his side in the debate on the show, like you two versus us two, but being how he's a seasoned politician now, I feel like he can stand alone. He doesn't need my help.
Yeah,
I would love your help.
I switch allegiances quick though, so it's no problem. I can jump over there to help you out.
And hey, and I will. It's not a perfect movie. I'm not saying that, but I really, really enjoy it. So we'll get into that. I'm interested to hear what you think worked, Chris.
Yeah. So if we're gonna jump right into it, Solo: A Star Wars Story. I actually watched it over the weekend, just to refresh my.
Good man.
I wouldn't say it's hatred. I wouldn't say it's hatred. That may be the too strong a word. But let's start with the good. The good things I like. First of all, I like Chewbacca.
Of course.
God bless the great Peter Mayhew. I love him. He gave us this character. But Joonas Suotamo has done such a wonderful job with Chewbacca. Having a very able Chewbacca, and he's captured like the physical identity. Like as I was watching it over again, and as I've watched the other Star Wars, the last trilogy's worth of his work as well. I mean, it's almost seamless, like how he moves and behaves as Chewbacca, and I think that's a real talent and a real trick to pull, to have all the familiar characteristics of our favorite Wookiee, and yet be also physical and do things like climb ladders really quickly and like, and the fight scene's nice, and he's just great in the costume, and I don't think he gets enough juice, so I wanted to make sure that we gave him some love here today.
He did just a lot of little subtle nuances, just like certain looks, or the way he tilts his head or looks off into the distance. He really captured that well, and just in his overall movement too. So yeah, I agree 100%.
They shared the Chewbacca role in The Force Awakens, right?
Yes.
Yeah. After he gets shot, they put Mayhew in the costume, so Mayhew could be in the movie, and so that's why they have to help him onto the Falcon. That's Mayhew, because Mayhew couldn't walk very well.
Right.
I
think the studio paid for his knee surgery, right? He had knee surgery before he did the role, just so he could actually go and be a part of it.
Yeah, because he couldn't walk for a while. I mean, he had to go through a bunch of physical therapy and rehab just to be able to do that walk from just across that yard onto the Falcon.
Wow.
So
I don't know if you've seen on Disney Plus, there's some deleted scenes, of course, for Solo. And I was going through some of those. And they also have one that's called Team Chewy, which is like 5 to 6 minutes long. You should check it out if you haven't seen it. It gives kind of a little more depth into Chewie's character. And one of the things that it shows him, Jonas, like preparing for the role and all this stuff and doing his stuff. And at times they have him in the suit, in the gym, like doing the ropes and like hitting a punching bag and stuff and knocking it off the thing. It's pretty stinking funny. So you should check it out.
Why though? Geez. Oh, just for fun.
Probably for a gag, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just showing him like getting ready for the role and all the physicality of the role and all that stuff. It's pretty, because you see in this movie, you get a lot of you get Chewie rage mode, you get Chewie ripping arms off people, you get the full like Chewie spectrum.
For like one of the things I've got for what worked was when they're storming the caves of Kessel or whatever, and he fucking lifts one of the Pike guys and just shoves him into the roof, and then goes after another one and rips his arm. I'm like, now this is a Chewbacca, because we're getting a younger version too, so we're seeing him move a bit more. I love that.
Yeah, he's 190 here. He's not 205 or whatever.
Because from 190 to 205, like shit just goes right in the can.
Yep.
Like I know for myself, like the last 10% of my years, they've been really hard. 10%. Like those are the last.
190 is the new 85.
That's true
for a Chewy.
Yeah.
For a Wookiee. The thing is, like, we don't even know if that's old or young for a Wookiee, right? It's like he might just be like a 30-year-old.
It's like middle age,
Wookiee,
right? Don't they
like
live to like 300 and something years, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe. I don't have any. I have no clue. So Wikipedia, maybe.
I'm working on it.
We need to fact check that and see what's the typical lifespan of a Wookiee. But my sense is he's like slightly old, like a nearly 40-year-old. 400
years.
400. Oh, okay. So he's not even quite half. He's not even quite middle age.
Midlife. Yeah, that's right. Like say if the average human lifespan's 80. Let's call it 80 for.
Yeah, he's in his late 30s.
Yeah, he's late 30s. Yeah, almost 40.
While we're on Chewy, I think one of the biggest scenes that worked for me is when he stepped up as co-pilot on the Millennium Falcon, and he's like, "You're 190 years old." Yeah. Like that part, like
he's like, "I can fly."
And where he sits down and Kira like, "Here, let me put the seat back for you and get out of your way. I'll go help I'll go help what is his name, Beckett. I'll go help Beckett in the back."
The nice touch there though too is that when he sits down in the seat, they actually play the Star Wars theme.
Yes,
like that's the first time you hear it, like during the
this is some of the chills moments, Chris, that we're talking about. Get this.
You know what? Which leads me to my next good point, which I think that the interaction between Han and Chewie is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think they captured that very well. I think that their interplay and the way they talk to each other and the way they are together, I think they did a very good job with that part.
A great shower scene.
That's so fucking funny.
It was very Tango and Cash, wasn't it?
I forget about that.
Tango and Cash. Yeah, nice pull. Yeah, that was good.
Well, you're right though, but that like the interaction, like when they're, I think it's when they're on, excuse me, the yacht. And he says to Chewie's like, they're just friends, all right, when he's talking about Dryden. And then he goes, "You're touchy." There's a lot of little like exchanges that they have like that where they clearly worked up a good chemistry between those two.
I was watching a thing recently, and that was one of the big things that they refilmed was that they had to because they couldn't get, is it Wilkinson? What's his name?
Michael K. Williams.
Yeah, they couldn't get him back because it was more of an alien person, so they brought in Paul Bettany to play the character, and they had to refilm all of that, but it was the little nuances and the character work that they worked on between Han and Kira. And I guess the framing was a bit different that they did. He got a little closer with the two of them for all of that. And like you can tell, like there's a lot of like emotional weight between the two of them, especially after not seeing each other for years.
Right.
I think all of that works.
Yeah. Yeah. When he sees her and like hugs her out of just like pure reaction.
Yeah.
That part I'm going to disagree with, but
as
far as like the Chewie interactions, Han and Chewie interactions, I think are all terrific, and I think they did that part very well.
Okay. What else you got? Oh, are we already out?
No, we're out. That's it. No. I thought Glover's portrayal of Lando was really, and I thought it was really good and really funny. And this is probably what's left over from the Miller and Lord stuff, because obviously Glover's like in the Miller Lord camp, just because of all that community stuff and all the other things, and the choices he made to play Lando, I think, are all like hilarious, and it borders on parody. Like he runs it right up to the line. Like if he takes one more step, it's just like it becomes too ridiculous.
Right.
But I think Glover makes, maybe they cut all the stuff that went across the line, but whatever. Everything that showed up on the film where Lando's being Lando, I think is truly hilarious right up to the point where it doesn't go too far. And so he gets a plus in my book. I think he's every time he talks, every time he's on the screen, he's pretty much eating it up.
Yeah. He there's his interaction with Han also good. It's almost like they're flirting with each other the whole movie in a way. And I mean even right down to the "I hate you, I know" moment.
Well, it's like the buddy cop relationship, right? Like the good cop, bad cop, like when they first meet, another 48 hours or whatever. It's like they have to work together, but they don't really get along, so it works.
And they tied in that Lando's the only one that calls him Han.
Yes.
Like they pulled that from the original, right? Like
yep.
Go, "Han, old buddy," and like he doesn't correct him then, but it's like, it's Han,
But I love how they do it because they're playing Sabak and he's already like, he knows that he's trying to play like, oh, I've played once or twice, I don't know. So his rebuttal is like Han instead of calling him Han. They're going back and forth. They're like feeling each other out about this game they're gonna play.
Yeah, because he calls it Sabak.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Full sabak, by the way. That's what I'm going to say at the end of this podcast. After I,
so you're gonna lay it down.
I'm going to lay it down.
That'll be his call. That'll be his sign off.
I don't know. At this point, I think it might be an idiot's array.
Oh,
got him.
Wow.
Sick burn.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Sick burn. The last part is, and if you've ever listened to the 2 on 3 podcast, you'll know that my contention always is that I don't care who you say your favorite Star Wars character is, your favorite Star Wars character is the Millennium Falcon.
And there's so much Falcon in this. Like it is and I'm going to get to this at the end. So we'll talk. But the Falcon in her glory. This is also this whole Han Falcon thing, right? It's the Millennium Falcon, but if you refer to it in the singular, it's the Falcon. Right.
It's kind of have to
Caribbean thing going on.
There's a Caribbean thing going on, but you get to see the Falcon in all her glory, and I love that.
Now, isn't that the first time you hear the Star Wars music when he's looking up at it when it's got the what are they the arm on the lock the boot
where it's got the boot on it where it's got the Imperial docking boot
he's looking up at the cockpit and it plays the Star Wars theme.
Oh, maybe that is the first time you hear it.
Well, and there's that's another one of those kind of chills moments that I get from the movie is it's that first time he sees it and they play that music. Their first time he hops in the seat to actually pilot. And there's that moment, like, the first time Chewie hops in to be his co-pilot and they give each other that look. There's all these moments on the Falcon that are just, I don't know, just really cool moments knowing what's to come. And like you said, it's not that like dull yellow stained version of the Falcon. It's this like souped up, nice looking version. It's got that awesome bedroom and walk-in closet. A lot of great stuff.
Like all the interiors are cherry and like it's got all the panels on the outside and the escape pod's still attached, so it looks like the Falcon, but it's not. It's like it's got
that new freighter smell.
It's got that
the YT 1300. So it's like pre-carbon scoring, right? It doesn't have any of the old like outside blaster marks and all.
It's got the original shield. Or the dish.
I wouldn't take a black light to that Lando's cabin though, but
it'd be a homing beacon you can see from
or his capes.
Mustafar.
I mean, there's probably so much DNA in those capes are about ready to walk on their own.
He is pimping.
Did you catch, by the way, the fun little Rebels note when they're gambling and he says, "What's your ship?" He's like, "I'll put my ship against yours," and he says the VCX 100. That's the Ghost.
The Ghost, yeah,
from Rebels. I don't think I knew that the first time around.
I didn't. That was kind of just now found that out.
Yeah. I was today years old.
There you go.
when I learned that.
Is that the end of your likes?
That is basically the end of my likes.
Wow.
So can we? So this will come up. So we can jump into the next segment because you guys will definitely want to refute my bad points. Okay. Let's jump into the bad. So
we can jump into the bad because I have a lot of good stuff still to share.
A lot of your good's going to come from my bad list.
Yep, I agree. Okay.
All right. So jumping into the bad. Here's the disjointed part of it. So Miller and Lord had an idea. They had a vision for it. Okay, it goes down the line, and then things fall apart, right? Either they're not allowed to, I didn't do too much backstory, but either they're not allowed to implement their full vision of the film, and it falls apart, right? So they leave the production, and Disney's left holding the bag. Disney makes the only choice I think they could have made, but it's a wildly safe choice of getting Ron Howard to jump in, get his arms around this like a good professional director would, and get it across the line. And I think that safety shows up in the final product, and I think that safety is detrimental to the entire experience. And they might have gotten the wrong Howard, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a fair
knowing what we
point.
know today,
yes.
They might have gotten the wrong Howard to fix this, to get this thing across the line.
She might not have been ready yet.
However,
but she is ready now.
She's got a vision for Star Wars that I don't think Ron has. Now, to Ron's credit, he's amazing. He's an Academy Award winning director. He's obviously put up some his box office numbers are not to be screwed with. I get that. But in 1977, he wasn't sitting in a dark theater watching Star Wars. He was working. He's been working since he's been, 4 years old in the business.
Yeah.
I mean, you see this kind of thing from Favreau and from the Favloni crew, right? That these are people who sat in a dark theater in 1977 and watched Star Wars.
So you think he doesn't quite get Star Wars?
I don't think he gets it at the same level that Favreau and I keep just saying Favloni. I just want to say
that's accepted. That's our favorite.
That they see it in a different way, and I think that's and the fact that we've gotten 2.5 seasons of The Mandalorian make it very clear that Ron Howard's vision for Star Wars falls way short of what I think it could be and should be.
Jason,
completely disagree. I'll agree that he's an Academy Award nominated director. The issue is, okay, so Miller and Lord, they were fired. They were about 80% through the movie. There was a few weeks left to shoot, and the issue is the preparation. They take a long time setting things up. They were behind schedule. There was a lot of fights. I guess the cast didn't even know about it. Like, it was kept between the directors and Kennedy, and there was another producer. So when they finally decided to fire them, and a lot of it came down to the Kasdans were not happy with the way they were interpreting the script. They were letting a lot of ad-libbing happen. It was a little bit more funny. Like, you've seen their movies. Like, you can see what you're going to get from them. So it probably was a bit more, I don't know. Like, I mean, they did 21 Jump Street. They did Lego Movie. They were responsible for the Spider-Man.
A little goofy.
Yeah, I think it was. And to Kasdan's, like, that's a character he fucking loves. You've pulled him back to do Star Wars. I mean, he came back for the Force Awakens. He brought his son in, and they did the script for Solo. They were in on this, and I don't think that they weren't. I mean, that's a lot of fucking balls for a producer to come up and be like, we're 80% done with this movie, we're gonna walk away. Now, where I can't protect Howard is he didn't get to come in and go and have pre-production work. There's no, like, he came in, shut down production, and then he started watching all of the dailies. Like, he had to see what was done, and then rebuild from there what was going to work. And from what I know, there was like 20 or 30% left of the movie, and he reshot 70% of what was already done. So he extended shooting like another, I think it was 4 or 5 months they did. And that shows how good he is. He comes in and just fucking makes a movie like that fast. And he said, he does give Miller and Lord, because he's worked with them, he knows them very well. And he says, like, they set up a really good world. It was all good. He's like, I just went in there and tinkered with things and really, like, he's really good at like that, finding like the emotional things in a movie, and like he's been around so long, it doesn't take him long to be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. And they were saying he kept the same cinematographer, the first director, maybe both. They said like the way things moved with him was worlds different. Like, it was just set up, go. They probably didn't have to do too many takes, and the actors loved it. They thought it was strange, but they also said, how many times do you actually get to go back and redo the things that you thought, maybe that didn't work or whatever. We got another try on things. So like, all in all, like, I fucking that movie, from everything that we saw, it should have been a fucking shit show. Hands down, should have been a shit show. And I went in there and I was fucking like surprised. And I, more than anybody, was like, this guy's not going to pull off Han Solo. There's no fucking way. Who can? Like, Harrison Ford is my all-time favorite actor. And I like this guy, just the little nuances, and every once in a while he's pointing his fucking finger, or he gets the little things of Han, but he also plays it like in this hopeful, like, you get this version of Han that you don't expect, right? Because like, and I think a lot of people, they went in there like, that's not my Han Solo. Well, it's not fucking supposed to be. You're watching what builds this fucking character to who he becomes, right? So you get just a little bit, enough to be like, oh my God, that's Han Solo. But you
get the seeds that have been planted and have not yet been watered.
It's been reverse engineered, and I think they did a fucking spectacular job.
Yep.
Okay. I'm not gonna. I mean, the burn on. It's not a burn on Ron Howard. I think the studio needed a hand with that much experience,
right,
and that much control and that much understanding to get his arms around just a production that's falling apart, steady it, and get it to the finish line. Mm-hmm. And I think that's amazing talent. And I think that Ron Howard, again, is probably the person they needed in that moment. But I think that you miss out on some of maybe the original vision of what was being tried. So it's the same thing with like Justice League, right? You get Zack Snyder, you get and the production falls apart because of his personal problems in his life, and they get Joss Whedon to pull it across the finish line. He pulls across the finish line a pretty good movie. Not great,
no, he didn't.
but then you see what Zack Snyder pulls across in the Snyder cut, and it's way fucking better, right? It's the difference between someone who has a vision for it, gets the ball rolling, can't finish it, and then they need a steady hand to get it across the line. It gets across the line in one piece, but it lacks a certain something. And you can see where that happens. And again, everybody's game. The cast is completely game. They're all bought in. I don't blame anybody. It's just that as a finished product, they get it across the line in one piece. I don't think it holds up. I don't think it has any. There's nothing special about it. There's this old adage, like, if the audience knows and the people on the screen don't know, that's a horror film. And if the people on the screen know but the audience doesn't know, that's a superhero film. Solo should have been a superhero film, but I don't feel like there's anything that they know that I don't know throughout that entire movie. Like, there's nothing held back for me. Like, everything that's happening is happening, and there's no something. So I saw The Batman over the weekend, and they did a wonderful job of that exact thing. I was explaining this to my daughter as we were driving home from the theater. I said, the difference is when someone on the screen knows and you don't know, that's a superhero film. And they did that really well with the Batman. Again, for Solo, there's no depth in that way. There's nothing that, as an audience member, I was like saying, after it happened, go, oh shit, he knew that the whole time. He had that set up the whole time in his head. I didn't know, and wow, amazing! Like, that never happens. You
didn't buy into the double switch?
No. I didn't. The whole thing just falls apart. Like after the Kessel Run, and then that last 35 minutes after they drop the cargo and the whole that ending yacht thing, it was brutal for me.
Well, take a step back real quick. Going in, knowing that it was going to be Alden Ehrenreich, did you have issues with that? And then having watched his performance, what did you feel? Because I think a lot of people went into it, like Jay said, going, this is not Harrison Ford. This is not going to work. And I was nervous about it. I remember when he was cast, and he was relatively unknown at the time, and thinking, oh God, how are they going to pull this off? And then being really surprised in his performance. But how did you feel about him?
I think he's game for it. I think I think he's up for doing it. Again, part of my thought is, why were we even having this movie? And here's the thing. This is like, sometimes characters come into the world like fully formed. Like, everything you need to know about them, right? And Han Solo is one of those. He's a pirate. He shows up in a bar, and they stumble across him on their adventure, and they pick him up, and they sweep him along. And we know pretty much everything we know about Han Solo in the first 5 minutes that we meet him, right? He's a pirate. He shoots first. He's doesn't give a shit about you. He's got debts to pay, and he's desperate enough to take on this farm boy and this old man to take him to Alderaan for some cash because he's strapped. We don't need to know anything more about Han Solo at this point. That is it.
Come on.
This is like making prequels about the High Plains Drifter. Nobody gives a shit. Like, he shows up, like Clint Eastwood shows up out of the desert with a poncho, and you don't need to know any more about him. He is good to go. He is that's all you need to know about him. I mean, even when Spielberg was strapped and had to, like, for Last Crusade, he had to tell a little origin. He did everything you needed to know about Indiana Jones, he gave you in 12 minutes. Took him 12 minutes to tell you everything you needed to know about Indiana Jones.
The River Phoenix scene?
Yes, and it's brilliant. And I don't think we need, and let me just jump into this, and you guys can just roast me after this, but the Solo Star Wars story suffers from two big things. It suffers from prequel-itis, which means that stakes are generally low because we know he's not going to die. You know that Chewbacca's not going to die. You know that the Falcon's going to make it through. Where's the tension? Nothing. And then you also get franchise-itis, which is to say, what makes Rogue One such a great movie is that they're going to tell you a story from beginning to end, and it's over. Episode 4, A New Hope, I mean, if they never made another Star Wars movie, it stands alone as a movie. Like, you can watch it and go, that's a whole story. Solo, a Star Wars story, is franchise-itis, which is to say, we're going to launch 3 movies here, and now you're not going to get the other 2, and the first one just kind of dumb. Because they're not going to pick it up. They're not going to take it anywhere. It needs 2 more chapters. And if they got 2 more chapters, it might turn into something really cool. But as a standalone movie, as a quote-unquote Star Wars story, it doesn't work at all.
So part of the problem is you. Because since you are shitting on it and everybody else shit on it, they won't make another goddamn Solo.
There's plenty of people who love it. Apparently there are more people who love it than hate it. So it's not just me.
I still think it would be a great series. I think there's a lot of things you can do with it as a series on Disney+. They should continue the story. There's a lot more to tell, especially with Kira and Crimson Dawn and all that kind of aspect of it as well. But I always make the joke that when people say that, like you said, well, there's no movie needs to be made. Like, we don't need a Han Solo prequel, but we got it and it was fun as fuck. That's how I kind of took it.
Yeah.
And so to see him start out as this idealistic, like bright-eyed kind of optimistic character, and then goes through 3 years of war, which starts to kind of taint him, and then goes through all these experiences where he's getting double-crossed by all these people he felt like he could trust. You start to see his character develop and why he is the way he is later when we pick him up in the cantina. And it's not just these little Easter eggs like, remember, this is going to happen later, because there are certainly a number of those moments.
Definitely. That's prequel. That's what we call prequelitis. People need to
it's a lot of
in these little things.
Yes.
Which,
yeah.
okay.
Well, and hey, technically wait a minute. What's the order? Temple of Doom is a prequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah,
so if you want to get into that whole world, I agree in the sense of there's more to be told there. And I'm feeling left wanting with just this movie. I understand that take, but I still think it was a fucking fun movie. It really got into his character. And at the end of the day, this was a love story between a man and a Wookiee. And that's what it's about.
It's supposed to be a man in a spaceship is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a love.
It's that too, but I think this does so much for the development of their relationship, and we got into that earlier. But it shows all that build, and so it gives so much more weight when you're watching the other stuff down the road, because you've seen this actually develop in front of your eyes. So that's where I really enjoy Solo, is that it does fill in some gaps there that make me appreciate these characters more in watching the stuff down the road, is that you see where that developed from.
Yeah, and also, I guess we're just built differently, because I've been wanting to see the origins of Han Solo forever. He can't just walk on screen and you're always like, well, what's his past? How did he get up? How did he get the Millennium Falcon? They talk about the card game. You get to see that play out. Where I will agree with you is where I think they made the mistake. You don't get to see him being the hotshot pilot in the Imperial Academy. You get to see him as the ground trooper. What did he do? I'd love to see him going through training and oh my God, these are the best test scores we've ever seen, and this guy's he's an ace. And then
I think they avoided that because they did the same with Star Trek when they rebooted it. They showed Captain Kirk do his test.
Who cares?
There's a deleted scene. Where he gets kicked out of the Naval Academy for insubordination.
Yeah.
Right, so it'd been cool to see that flesh out a little bit on screen. But you see him as a ground trooper. He's like, I got here for thinking on my own, or having the ability to think, and blah blah. What? How did that happen? I'd like to see that. I love the detail. I love the more and more backstory, because it just makes the original character more rich.
I agree.
He's a scoundrel, and he doesn't like women because he had his heart broken because of Kira, and now he's got, what do you call it, PTSD and when it comes to relationships.
Double crossed by Beckett.
Yep.
Somebody he felt like
anyone who's ever tried to trust.
You see him fucking shoot first before the Greedo scene ever.
Yeah,
Beckett's in the middle of a sentence, and
says
I'm
a lot right there.
Boom. Yeah, so that motherfucker did shoot first. I don't care what editing you did and all the other bullshit with the Greedo thing. I don't know. I love that. That when he did that, and I watched that in the theater, I was like, yeah, that's my dude right there. Now that's Han Solo. He turned into Han Solo right there. He was no longer just the guy trying to be the hero, right? His optimism kind of got turned off a little bit right there.
Yeah, well, and for Ehrenreich in general, I mean, there was a whole thing where Harrison Ford called up Ron Howard after watching a screening and was like, he nailed it. He made it his own, which is I think what he told him from the get-go. They had this meeting, and he was like, he conveyed all this information that George had told Harrison about the character and where Solo came from, to kind of give him a little bit of backstory on him and how he was supposed to kind of turn into who he turned into. But then in the end, he said he was like, make it your own. This is, don't try to imitate me. Be your own character. And I think there's enough little nuances in his character that lend itself to the eventual Harrison Ford version. But he is still his own character, which is good. Because if he tried to just imitate Harrison Ford, that would have gone terribly wrong.
That's propaganda, by the way. That's Harrison
Ford.
That's Harrison Ford, like doing a solid. Harrison Ford
when does he ever do that, though?
Harrison Ford has openly complimented how many actors in his career. That's a nut, because it never happens. He never compliments anybody, and he's going to go on record and say, "Well, this kid is like he did it perfect." I'm not buying it entirely.
But he gives zero fucks. He gives zero fucks about that stuff.
Exactly.
So why would he do it now?
Because he owes the franchise.
He's never felt that, but he's never acted that way.
Anyway, he's never had a problem like taking umbrage with talking bad about the Han Solo character before.
Right.
So that doesn't add up.
Right.
That does not.
It doesn't add up. Let me get back to David Cole here. His excellent point about too much exposition. If I have to hear Han Solo say, "I'm going to be the greatest fighter pilot. I'm going to be the greatest pilot in the galaxy," and then fast forward, we never see him fly anything, and then he gets on the ground at in that big mud pit of wherever they're stuck. And then he's like, "I'm a great pilot." It's like, are you? I mean, have we seen you fly anything? The last time I saw you drive anything, you wrecked a speeder. It's just like there's no great pilot thing happening for me. Yeah. They never set up his bona fides. They never even try at any point to show you that he's a capable pilot.
I agree with you there.
Not only capable pilot, but the best pilot in all of the galaxy.
It's like the Michael Ironside line in Top Gun. That was some of the best flying I've seen, right up to the part where you got killed.
Right.
Same thing with Solo driving that speeder. Some of the best driving you ever seen, right until he gets a cop.
I don't know.
There wasn't, though. At least in Top Gun, they set up the fact that Maverick is badass, right?
Right. Yeah, I know.
He flies inverted with the MiG, and then he's got all that confidence and whatever. It's like we get none of that. We get none of that buildup. We get none of that
through conversation.
It's all exposition.
Well,
I'm going to be the greatest pilot I'm going to be the best pilot in the galaxy.
There's this cringy moment when he's on the Falcon, and I think it's Kira or Chewie behind him, and he's like talking, and he's looking back, and he's just kind of doing this with the controls. He's doing like he's at 10 and 2. I'm like, what are you fucking doing, Han? Like, what are you like?
See,
that's so cringy.
Did you feel Cole slide my way? Did you feel him slide there?
No, I'm with you. There are some.
Did you feel the table tilt just now, and it just kind of slid my way a little.
What you guys don't know is he gave me a Reese's peanut butter cup before the show started, so he bought me. I'm in his pocket.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Okay, this other part is that Disney's into this whole rehabilitating bad guys, and this is sort of spills into that for me. I mean, you get these two Maleficent movies and a Cruella, and they're much more interested in bad guys now. What are we gonna get? Like an Ursula Little Mermaid movie? This is the whole rehabilitation of. We want Han Solo's a bad guy. He's not a good guy. Maybe he's not a bad guy. Maybe he's chaotic neutral. If we're going to play the D&D alignment game, he's in it for himself.
Yes.
And then then these two people come across his path, and he sort of changes his life, right? And that's enough. I don't need you to go back in time and tell me that he really was a good person, and then he started on this meandering path, and then he meets up with Luke and Obi-Wan, and his life changes. I mean, like I said, I don't need. It's unnecessary. It's like an unnecessary telling. It's like Maleficent is one of the greatest villains in Disney history, and then they go back and make this stupid movie where she's just some jilted schoolgirl. That's why she's pissed. It's no.
It all stems from somewhere, Chris.
It's all some dude ruined Maleficent, right? She was a totally great forest fairy, and then this dude came, and now she's pissed, and now she's gonna steal a baby.
I have not seen Maleficent, so I cannot speak to that. But
I'm just saying the idea of it stands. The idea is that you do not need to rehabilitate bad guys, and Darth Vader's different because he's part of that arc from 1 to 9 or 1 to 8 or 1 to 6 and whatever happens 7, 8, 9. But at least the story starts there. So I don't really feel like the Star Wars prequels are a rehabilitation of Anakin. because it's part of the story.
No, and they show him murder children, so
they want you to love Han Solo in a different way than you already love him, and I don't think it's like you said, I think it's unnecessary.
I think it's unfair to say that Han Solo is not a good guy, he's a bad guy, because I think that's the point, is he is motivated by money and all these things and has been through stuff and has some of those tendencies, but at his core, he is a good guy. And that's why he fucking turns around in A New Hope and comes back and saves Luke, not because he's a bad guy who just decided it was some, whatever pulling at him. He's deep down is a good guy. He tries to conceal that. He has that conversation with Kira. I'm not a good guy. I'm a bad guy. Yep. She's like, no, you're not. And so I think that's important to keep in mind, is that yes, he's motivated by money and he's got all these other things and he is a pirate, but at his core, there's something there that is the reason why he does the things he does at least in the original trilogy.
But does Solo, a Star Wars story, make you appreciate Han Solo in a way you didn't appreciate him before, or make you love him more in a way you haven't loved him already? Like, where's the value? Where's the value in your feelings regarding Han Solo after watching Solo, a Star Wars story? Do you have a deeper appreciation for the character, which I would tell you, I would argue you probably don't. And do you love him more, and do you have more of a deeper affection for Han Solo now, having watched Solo, a Star Wars story?
Jay, you have an answer?
I have a deeper appreciation for the relationship between him and Chewie, with
100%.
With how they got the Falcon, and what was the other one I was thinking of? The relationship with Han and Lando. Like, you always got a little bit of tease. Were they friends? Are they not friends? But then you see like this build up, and it makes me want more just between the two of them. Like, the conversations, the way they relate to each other, it's like, yeah, I love the way they fucking like pick at each other, and do they like each other? Do they not? What's going to happen next? How does they, and they're going to bicker about this fucking Millennium Falcon until the day they both die.
Yeah. And he's also kind of like the one character that's throughout, you get to see him, like a complete arc of his character from life to death. Not necessarily from birth. Yeah. But like, you understand that he grew up on the streets of Corellia or whatever, and it was a shipbuilding slumlord area, and he like comes full circle in the end when he gets murdered by his own son. Like, but you also see his struggles with Leia that played out from his experiences with Kira, and then you see like how he became a smuggler, and then like doesn't want to be the good guy but ends up being the good guy. So you get all the like backstory and the completion of the character, and I really appreciated that. Like, it's one of the few characters you kind of can get behind and fully understand in the entire universe.
I have a fix for all of this
Hold on, let me say one last thing and then you can do your fix. And that is, as much as when the casting happened and they said Woody Harrelson's going to be in Star Wars, and everybody went, what? And then you watch the movie and it's Woody Harrelson as Woody Harrelson, because that's just who he is. I still enjoyed the Beckett character and the way it plays into Han, because their relationship is the complete mirror, but with a different end result with him and Luke. And so I like the fact that they're having similar conversations to what you're eventually going to see, but he doesn't go the Beckett route. He goes his own route because deep down, he's good, Chris. Fuck.
In fact, Woody Harrelson's portrayal of Han Solo is better than the actual Han Solo. Which is, if we're gonna do comps, like when you sell your house, you get comps. There are two better Han Solo performances. Like, first of all, there's the last 25 minutes of The Rise of Skywalker. Adam Driver does a better Han Solo in that 20 minutes than a whole 2 hours of Aaron Reich.
Boo.
Like, he's so much better. And the other comp is, well, Oscar Isaac does a better Han Solo as Poe Dameron for 3 movies.
I disagree. There are parts where like he doesn't sell it.
Baby Driver. He's got a good point. They even dress. God, what's his name? I had it. I forgot to write it down. But they even dress him as Han Solo.
Yeah.
They even dress him as Han Solo.
The tall guy. The tall guy.
Why don't we cast him as Han Solo? He is perfect. And so if we're doing our comps, like these are the things that, like, we already have some really excellent Han Solo performances on wax that are better than this Han Solo performance. Again, no, I'm not going to rip on Ehrenreich. He gets the script he gets. He does the best he can with what he has. He's game. The effort's in. It's just not. It just doesn't measure up to what we're getting.
This is where it's losing you, though, is because you're arguing that these other actors are playing a Han Solo role, but they're playing the Han Solo that you're used to seeing. Alden Ehrenreich is playing a Han Solo from a different. We're seeing the foundation before he becomes that version of Han Solo that we're used to seeing. So where the other ones are like, it'd be like how Glover is playing Lando. Immediately he is Lando, the same version we've seen, right? Every bit of him is just the Lando we're used to. If they would have done that with Han, you would have complained. You had to have complained. It's like, how is he already this person we've already seen? That's not fair.
We're forcing an arc on him. That's my problem.
Well, there's going to be an arc on any human being 20 years before who they are then.
Sure. There needs to be enough of what we know of Han Solo in there, which I think we get. Right?
Yeah.
And then there needs to be room for growth. And I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing that I think it suffers from the fact that the setup is poor and that we don't get enough of what we want to build a Han Solo. I don't think we get.
No, you don't get enough of what you want, apparently.
Again, all these opinions are my own.
They're all subjective.
When I say we're not getting, I mean I'm not getting. Yes. So I'm not getting enough of what makes Han Solo Han Solo. Again, if I have to sit there and have him tell me that I'm a great pilot, like one more time, without ever having seen him fly anything, until he has to like jump in and fly the freighter, the Imperial freighter. I mean we're already 40 minutes into the movie, 35 minutes into the movie before he flies anything.
So is that one of your fixes?
I do. Should we get to the?
Let's get to the
talking
fixes.
for a while. Do you want me to get to the fix?
Yeah, let's get to the fixes because we should wrap up soon.
All right. So back to my idea of comps, right? I think I've comped Smokey the Bandit. Like we could deal with like all these things. Like could we just make it like a grown Han Solo on a singular adventure and just make it a sort of a blowout fun thing? Like, could we make it more Fast and Furious than less prequel movie number 1 of 3, right? So I think there's a lot of benefit in that. But I think I can scratch a number of different itches. And this goes back to my love of the Millennium Falcon, which is to say that the comp that I'm looking for, have you ever seen The Red Violin?
Mm-mm.
Have you ever seen a movie called, well, maybe there's an old French movie called Au Hasard Balthazar, which is a great movie. And then there's maybe something a little more modern, something like War Horse, where it's basically a Falcon anthology. And and so we can scratch all these itches if we actually create a Falcon anthology. Now, isn't it funny that we live in this whole galaxy? We see all kinds of ships, but we've only ever seen one Corellian YT, like freighter, in our whole lives. Like, you've never seen another one. What happened to all of the Corellian YT light freighters?
Limited edition.
Limited edition. What? There's a reason that
you see one in not. It's not in. Was it in Rebels? Yeah, it was in Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Mart had one.
It wasn't quite the same, but it was similar.
It was a YT. Sorry, I had just.
Yeah, that's fine. But I mean, so we've never seen another one, and there's must be a reason for this, right? Like we could explain, and then again, the adventures take place in terms of an anthology where we get, if I plot shop this, again, this is another 2-on-3 podcast thing, where there's a lot of good ideas, I think that I hate the Wokebot 3000, but I love the fact that L3 is part of the Falcon and gives the Falcon personality. So I think there's a lot of good things about.
Wait, hold on. You didn't like L3?
No, I hated her. I hated her.
That droid has more personality than any other droid in the Star Wars universe. I get the whole.
That's not entirely a good thing.
I do, but like I think it works.
Yeah, I missed me. It missed me. So, sorry. It's just again my take on it. But the fact that there are things that make the Falcon special are are to be celebrated. And the part is that it has a life of its own too, right? Like it's created, it has an origin, it has adventures with Lando, it has adventures with Han Solo, it has the Kessel Run adventure with Solo. And then at the end you can basically just say, here's what the Falcon has done for us this whole time. And I'm down for a celebration of the Falcon and making like the Kessel Run part of it, making Lando's relationship with the Falcon, and then maybe a previous iteration, and then we can explain why there are no other Corellian YT freighters in the whole of the universe. Why don't we see any other? Because she's special, she's unique, and that's more of a me bias. And I do have a script sort of outlined that I've actually written down for my Falcon anthology. But it's if you ever go watch The Red Violin and pretend that violin is the Millennium Falcon, and you'll understand, and you'll know exactly where I'm coming from.
Wasn't there? It was HBO years ago. There was a series, or maybe it was just on network TV. It was called Gun, I think, and it was the story of this gun that went through. I think it started off like in the Cowboys. I don't know if it went through modern or not, but it was just the story was whoever the gun landed with, the story, how they used it, died by it or whatever, who died by it, and then it would move on. And there was like 6 or 8 episodes, I think, where they told the story, different stories, but the gun was the reason to get in. Like I get that, but like we've had 9, there's 10 movies now of the Millennium Falcon, so you kind of have your anthology series.
But here's the thing: it is a Star Wars story. It holds together. Like, to call Solo a Star Wars story is, again, I think at the very foundationally is a lie. Is to say that it does not hold up like as a single. It is movie 1 of a 3-film franchise, and it's not going to move forward. And I think it lacks. Because of that. Because there are a lot of things I think they're waiting to tell you.
Sure.
Like, first of all,
that's not denied, though.
First of all, they tried to fit 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag, so they had to leave some stuff out, and then the stuff that they save for the next movie isn't gonna see the light of day. So it's sort of, you get the worst of both worlds on this.
I got to say it right now. I know why you and Ty aren't recording anymore, because I've done one episode with you and I want to murder you.
You want to murder me because I'm right, and this is why Ty wants to murder me.
How many floors are you up right now? Seriously, open the window and jump out.
Because I'm right about this.
I was going to say we could have Ty on next, and it'll be just we'll all sit around and circle jerk, because he really enjoys Solo.
See, if you didn't want to murder me, you would know that I was completely wrong, and you would say, I would completely dismiss this offhand and wipe my butt with it and walk away. But you want to murder me, which means must have hit her pretty close to the mark to get her all riled up like that.
Oh, look at that. I understand your points. I think some of the things you're hung up on, some of the exposition and lines, I get it. They didn't all work. The I'm a driver, I'm a flyer, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I get that. It's like I said, it's not a perfect movie.
No, but it's entertaining.
It's a good movie.
Very entertaining.
Yeah.
And I get your point, Chris, about saying they're saving something, because they are. And that's why I think there's still room there for them to do something with it. And I think something will happen eventually. It's just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm. Give Favloni a prestige series on Disney Plus, and I will likely turn around, because they will do it the way that I think would be satisfying, again, for a generation of kids who sat in a dark theater in 1977. Listen, there hasn't been a day that has gone by since the day I sat in that theater where I haven't thought about Star Wars. I mean, this is like literally 45 years. Every day I've probably thought about Star Wars in some way, shape, or form. I mean, it's a terrible obsession, and it borders on mental illness, and I get that, and you guys get that obviously, because you guys run my favorite podcast about Star Wars. So I understand we all share the same mental illness. but it's an illness nonetheless, and I think that we've seen fit to lean into it, and what makes these conversations really fun.
Yes, and a side note as we wrap up here, I had a note that I totally skipped over to ask you your Star Wars origin story, because I ask every guest that comes on that. So that means we have to have you come back so that you can tell your Star Wars origin story, because we've obviously skipped right over that.
But it probably won't be as good as this story, because why go back and fill in the holes at all?
And that wraps it up.
I think you've gotten my story, to be honest with you, but there we have it.
Who hurt you in the universe? Show us on the doll
Right.
where they touched
Show
you.
me on this Han Solo action figure where they hurt you.
Oh man. Well, thank you for coming on, Chris. I'm not going to say you don't make some valid points, because there's some valid points. I just totally disagree with your overall assessment of the movie, and that's fine. We can all disagree. That's one of the things you see on like Twitter a lot with Star Wars. Anytime somebody like criticizes something in a Star Wars property, everybody's like, "God, why do you got to be so negative?" It's like, hey, it's okay to criticize.
Sure.
Now, if you're going to just shit on everything, then yeah, fuck that. Nobody wants to listen to that.
No.
But there's room for criticism and all this stuff. Of course, nothing's perfect, but it was fun to go back and forth on it, because the three of us obviously will sit around and just go, yeah, and this was great, and this was great, like a Chris Farley episode. So it was nice to have a different point.
Yeah, it makes a good podcast, right? Because you don't want a bunch of yes, right? You got a little bit of drama, and at least like with an argument with you, you have a lot of points laid out. Like you know why you dislike it, and it's like, who wants to have a conversation with someone? We're like, well, this is a shitty movie,
and it forces us to defend it, much like we just went through with Book of Boba, where Cole's bringing up valid points about, flaws in that series. And I'm kind of in the middle ground, and Jay's like, fuck you.
I'm with Cole. I'm with Cole on Book of Boba.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, my friend.
Anyway,
Did we just become best
I
friends?
love the Factopod. Thank you guys for producing it. I think it's terrific. It is my full pipeline to the Star Wars universe. You guys are all I need. So thank you for producing it, and thank you for having me on today.
Thank you.
I know.
And I love you, Jay. Dang it, there we have it. So you didn't let me set you up. All right.
All right. Well, everybody go check out the 2-on-3 pod coming back in April.
Yes.
It'd be great to have you guys back. Awesome show. 200 episodes strong. So yeah, go check them out. 2-on-3 pod on Twitter. And then Chris is at CD Villasenor on Twitter. And that's it. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, thanks, Judger McJudgerson. It was great talking to you.
I have nothing to say to him. I wouldn't thank him at all.
He's Judge Dead to me.
I really hope like I hope he took like a good 30 seconds or so after we were done, and he's like he played it back in his mind, and he recalled me asking him to open the window behind him and jump out. And I hope he did that. I hope he took a solo leap.
You can tell Chris isn't used to having his mind changed very often. He stands on his laurels, and
he puts his foot down,
and he grinds his heels in and then digs them in, and he stayed firm.
Kind of laughed off some of our arguments. That's okay. Didn't take offense to it at all. No, it was fun. It was really fun talking to him about it. It's always nice to have a differing point of view, so you can kind of go back and go back and forth on it. So it was fun. So thank you, Chris, for coming on. And next we will go to.
Hello there.
You've got mail.
I just like to let it play out. All right. 4 emails, which is fantastic. Thank you very much. Well, technically 5, but we moved Chris's to last week's Kenobi trailer talk. The first one is from Ty. Speaking of 2-on-3 pod.
the one that we like.
Yeah, the one we like, Ty. Tell me, fanboys. Hey, what are you trying to say, Ty?
Yeah.
You calling us nerds? You're a nerd. If there is one thing you could guarantee happens in the Kenobi series, what would it be?
I got this one.
You got it?
Go
Vader Kenobi showdown.
Oh, it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can guarantee something that happens, it's going to be
Called
that.
it.
I think it's going to be the rematch of the century.
Right.
That's it.
Do you think like during the fight, like some shit's got to go down, right? And we know like he walks away unscathed because he's an old man, as far as we know, unless like he loses a foot and we just never see it as an old man. So like, do you think, he loses again and he just chops him, like legs come off, arms, something?
What if he cuts his dick off and you just never know it? Like he's a eunuch now. Vader cuts off Kenobi's dick.
And then we find out Padme survived.
Call back.
You're really not letting that go, are you?
No.
I like the idea of him cutting him up exactly as he did last time. It was like, God damn it happened again.
But like just an inch or two higher, so he seared some more skin. It wouldn't have hurt if you went 2 inches down.
But Vader had the high ground, and he still lost. Like,
You see, cut the Emperor. He's like, hello, prosthetics. We're gonna need another round. Gotta cash in on this warranty we have here for this bionic arm and leg.
I think if I could guarantee something, I want to see if we're gonna see the throwback to Order 66 and like the Vision and Mandalorian. I want to see that play out in Kenobi. I want to see some portion of the Grogu thing. I think.
Yo, you want the Grogu thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Quit stealing my idea.
I'm sorry. Or do you think? Well, I guess it makes sense for it to stay in Mandalorian, but like we talked about this a few weeks back. Like, what's the point of them going to flashback unless there's some purpose to show us the flashback, right? Other than like, oh, it's going to be nice to see them all chummy before they got into a fight. But there has to be like some plot device or some story element that they pull from that pushes the story forward.
I could see that. I still think at best you're going to get a very small cameo of him. I would not be surprised if they do not include him.
Now we see the Inquisitors in Kenobi, and there's rumors that is it Barriss? She
Barriss
actually
Sophie?
becomes an Inquisitor.
That is one of the hot rumors.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because she and Ahsoka were tight, and so I certainly expect that there's a chance we see her in that series, the Ahsoka series,
As an Inquisitor.
Or otherwise,
A
whatever.
past. Yeah.
Yeah, done. A retired Inquisitor. Yeah, we'll have to see, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Mine is similar to yours, Jay. It was that, I know we're going to get it. I just wanted to see some flashbacks to Clone Wars. If they can include Ahsoka, which I think they should, to see all those three together would be sweet.
Yeah.
I think that they need to not miss that opportunity to do that. What about you, Ty? What do you think? Email number 2, Brian Hour. We all know that for the first 5 episodes, we will have Kenobi, who has been sentenced to detention on the backside of Tatooine. He was there for 20 years, yet could not take 2 days to wipe out Jabba? Dude, Brian, the man's laying low.
Right.
He's not going to go off on just, crusades, just killing everybody just because he thinks, on a whim.
Just because he looks like Jesus doesn't mean he's crusading.
He's got priorities. While in detention, he has yet to have remedial Jedi training with not only his teacher Yoda, but Yoda's TA, the ghost of Qui-Gon, so he can study for the new final, which is a repeat of his last final, but this time he knows he has to die in order to pass. That's hard.
It's a hot take.
The rest of the 15 years is him deep in the grog whining about, why can't Yoda do this? He wanted to take on the Chancellor in episode 3. Oh, and one complaint about the trailer, which they can fix. In the intro scene with Kenobi on the Eope, we see a first for Tatooine, clouds. If they don't fix this, the natives might riot. Brian. There are clouds on Tatooine in other movies. I think you're just not paying attention.
Yeah.
You get to see the sunsets, right? The sunsets on Tatooine, you can see the clouds. And
You can see it when he goes to find a charred Beru and Owen. There's a bunch of clouds. I think the whole thing's clouded over when Rey goes back there to put the sabers in the ground.
I agree.
Brian, you're usually the one calling us out for our lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it back at you, pal. But
maybe he's got a little bit of meteorologist in him. They're always wrong.
All right. Email number 3 from Fred from the Slewfoot Show. Hey guys. Hi guys. I can't talk. Hey guys. a quick comment about the Kenobi trailer. Loved it and can't wait to see old Ben in action. He still looks pretty spry for a slightly older guy. Am I supposed to sing that along with
Offspring?
Offspring.
Yeah. That's how I read it in my head. He's pretty spry for a slightly older guy.
The only thing I want from this series is an I told you so moment when Kenobi tells Anakin/Vader, it's not my fault you got diced and sliced and then burnt like a marshmallow. I warned you, I had the high ground. But in all seriousness, I'm getting serious now.
Okay.
I can't wait for this series and love hearing all the build-up and speculation leading up to it. Should be fantastic, and having the music done by John Williams will be a bonus. I wonder if he wanders around his giant estate humming those amazing tunes he's come up with over the years. That would be awesome.
I've had Duel of Fates in my head since I heard it. Yeah.
It's his ringtone. He's got one of those old Nokia phones. It's got a ringtone that he pays for. I get 10% of that every time he buys it.
He has to walk to take a shit. Dun, 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 dun. Thanks, guys. Looking forward to your thoughts, Fred. Thank you, Fred.
Well, at least someone is.
And then finally...
Sorry, we ran out of time. Moving on.
No, I'm going to play the old one just for fun. Uh-oh. Mike Laybourne.
Why don't you eat my ass, Mike? That's my response to that.
Thought I'd bring that back from
Okay.
Yeah, good one.
Just
I like
mix it up a little bit. Mike says, when you guys get to episode 100 and go on the Galactic Star Cruiser, who are you going to cosplay as?
Oh, I know. Try as you may. I'm not going as 3PO, Mike. But thanks for fucking your efforts. You've been rebanned from the show. You've just lengthened your ban by another 10 years.
You know who I'm going as, right, Cole?
Toro Calican?
Max Rebo.
You're too tall.
Too tall for a Rebo. Jay, who are you going to go as?
I don't know. I thought about that because, like,
Kit Fisto.
I don't see. Yeah. I don't see, like, I guess it'd have to be a robe, right? Like, I don't know if I would get that into it.
I could see you as a Garza Flip.
Oh.
Wannabe.
See me with it.
Hide your butthole when you fall asleep, though.
Yeah, from you. We're getting different rooms.
Hide your wife, hide your kids. Come down from the top bunk. Get back up there.
Matt won't sleep a wink. He's just afraid it's going to happen.
Matt just periodically hits me with a flashlight. Don't do it.
Yep.
Don't do it.
It's got to keep him in there.
Stay in there.
Every time the light comes on, your eyes are like staring at him, waiting for him to fall asleep.
Mr. Peepers? Yeah. Cole, you going to go as Mayfeld?
Yeah, because of the bald head.
Oh, yeah.
Grow out the beard. I should do that.
I mean, if you want to go Porkins, I know you have an affinity for him.
He does.
Okay, fuck off.
You love him.
I do. I love him.
I think I'd go as Ezra Bridger just so I could sit there and like cry in my beer and complain about my dead parents to Cole the entire trip.
Why does this ruin Cole's vacation to the Galactic Star Cruiser Day? First you're going as Max Rebo. Now you're going as fucking Ezra Bridger. Jay's not gonna let me fuck him. It's just
nothing's going.
It sounds like a terrible vacation. If you guys aren't drinking spotchka by 10 a.m., I'm not going.
That's how I'm starting the day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the key though to cosplay is you do not want to be wearing a helmet or a mask. That would just ruin your entire
Get a little
time.
warm.
That gets old.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What would Diamond Dave be as if he's gonna come with?
Oh, you know he's just gonna walk around in his pink robe.
Yeah.
Darth Flamingus.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, he's cosplaying as himself.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's like, wouldn't that be funny if we're walking around like day 2, someone comes up to him, Darth Flamingus? I know who he is.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Selfie.
Have my children.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Thanks to everybody for sending in your Maul bags. Please send more.
Yes.
And now, instead of a factoid, we're gonna do a different segment. No, so it's a surprise for you guys. It comes from Mike Laybourne.
Oh boy.
He says, since there's NAFL to talk about until Kenobi Bad Batch drops, I've created a new segment for you. It's called Fact, or Fiction.
Okay.
So we're going to need a drop for this at some point. Maybe Authorian Historian was supposed to get us some drops. Can you work on that, buddy? Get us some drops for Fact, or Fiction. Put aside your Otagan anger and please do some audio drops for us. So you've just got to say whether the below Star Wars trivia is fact or fiction. No Googling. Okay. So what I'll do...
You'll watch us.
Yeah, I'll tally it up. And next week he'll reveal the answers to us, and we'll see how we did.
Oh, so you don't have the answers either?
I don't have the answers.
Oh, okay.
No.
I thought you were playing host, and you had
And the listeners can play along too, right? You can.
Listeners can play along.
Tweet,
yep, absolutely.
Email the show.
Yeah.
Let us know.
He's going to reveal the answers next. I stuck to his instructions of not Googling.
We're all on the honor system here, folks.
Yep. So there's 10 of them. Ready?
Ready.
Number 1, George Lucas did not attend the premiere of Star Wars in 1977 as he was on holiday with Steven Spielberg.
True.
You're going to know all these, aren't you?
Based on Jay's confidence, I got to play heel. I'll say false.
He's so confident.
It's true. I'll bet didn't I bet a testicle once? I'll bet the other one.
Well, shit.
They're free floating.
I'll bet my hosting job on the show.
Oh, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Here we go. Mike, are you setting him up? Mike wants
Although that could be a trick question. I don't think there was a premiere. It was just I know he was on holiday when he was on holiday when it opened.
They did a premiere at that theater in Hollywood.
Okay,
did
yes.
They not?
Yeah, you're right.
Or did it just open there, but it wasn't an actual premiere?
The Chinese theater or whatever? Yeah. I'm going to say he was on holiday. I know he was on holiday when it opened.
All right, I'll go with Cole. I'll say false just for that.
Okay.
Number 2, the character design for General Grievous was based on a rejected spider character originally designed for Sesame Street.
Sounds oddly specific, so I'll say true.
False.
I'm going to say false too. It sounds close. I think it's like a morphed thing, I'm guessing. I don't know. 3, Ewoks were created after someone at Ewoks were created after someone at Lucasfilm left a chocolate Wookiee in the sun too long and it melted.
True? I'm going true.
I gotta say false on that one.
That's false. But
number
I want
4.
it to be true.
I want it to be true.
Yeah.
During production, Star Wars Rebels was codenamed Wolf because of course it was. I think that's probably true.
Wolf Trapper.
False.
False.
Now my question.
You say false?
My question is: Mike Laybourne giving us actual answers, or is he just going to go through and shape things into canon that he wishes were true?
He's updating Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Number 5. The Porgs in The Last Jedi were real puffins digitally altered. That's true.
What's a puffin?
Puffin's like the little, you'd have to look it up, but it's a little bird. Almost looks like not quite like a toucan, but it's white and black. You have to look it up.
I can't Google. You said so yourself.
Oh, right. You can't Google. Thank you. Way to stick to it.
Yeah,
Good
you know
job.
what? I play by the
true.
rules. Okay, it's true then. 3 truths.
That shit's true.
Like Han Solo says, it's true, all of it.
Oh, I see. Oh, Jay's looking at his phone. Hope
That's
he's
just
not Googling. I'm just kidding. 6. The planets Wobani and Scarif in Rogue One were named for an anagram of Obi-Wan and a Starbucks misspelling of Gareth, respectively. That's interesting.
True.
Because Wobani Obi-Wan thing I could totally see. So Gareth went into Starbucks and said, "My name is Gareth," and he went to pick up his drink and it said Scarif.
I think that's true.
I think it might be true. It sounds like it would be true.
I like it. I like the idea of it. I hope it is.
Yeah.
I definitely think the Obi-Wan thing is true. 7. BB-8 was named after actress Bebe Neuwirth, whom J.J. Abrams had a crush on as a teen.
False.
As a teen,
I want to say false. It's just so specific.
she was
and
Frasier's wife in Cheers. What did she do? I know she's like always
Oh,
been
is that
on
who that is?
Broadway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, Jay would know who
But
the
I
fuck Bebe Neuwirth is. I hate you so much. Quick, pull up your favorite movie by starring Bebe Neuwirth.
The Faculty.
Okay.
I feel like there is a connection between those two, though.
Fun fact.
yeah, you
But-
think so?
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know why he'd have a crush on her, though. But
I don't know. I'm saying false.
that's weird and specific. I'm gonna go true.
Okay. Number 8, Minoc puffing was a game played by hunters to remove the parasites from ships' hulls.
Minoc
A
puffing.
game played?
Minocs were the ones that were chewing on the wires on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
inside
Correct.
The stomach of that
Mm-hmm.
lizard thing. Minoc puffing.
That's what he got, like in quotes, Minoc puffing.
Like a blast of air, maybe, is what I'm thinking, to knock him off the
I
ship.
don't know.
I don't feel
Yeah.
like that's a game people would go play.
I think I'm saying false again. I'm saying
Yeah.
false too many times, way too many times.
I'll
I'm
say-
going to go over 10.
I'm gonna say true. I'm gonna
Yeah?
say true.
Okay. Hey, Mike, when you gather will you put our scores together too? Like what one we answered on, please? Because we're not gonna remember.
I thought Matt said he's gonna tally it when he is.
If he
okay.
if he provides the answers for me, I will. I'll tally it up.
Okay.
I'll talk to him about it. 2 more. Number 9. In early drafts of Star Wars, Wedge Antilles' nickname was Chewy. I think that's true, isn't it? Didn't I hear some dumb thing about that once?
Wedge, Chewy, Antilles.
I'm gonna say false.
Okay.
I'll go false too.
Number 10. Mace Windu's lightsaber hilt said "bad motherfucker" on the side. That's true.
True.
I think it was it in a different language or something?
It was on the bottom. I thought it was on the bottom of the hill. It's on the side.
I don't know. I thought it was in a different language too or something. Like they somehow translated it into some Star Wars language or something. Maybe
I thought that was just a joke.
No, I think he asked for that.
It says "bad motherfucker" on it.
Yeah. So,
He asked for it to be purple too.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's your 10. He said, "Work out what's factpa and what's fiction, and I'll send a custom lightsaber to the studio." Liar. And he said, "May the force be with you." Thank you, Mike. That was
Thank
a
you,
lot
Mike.
of fun. I hope he does that again. That was a fun little segment. We just need a drop for it, and then we'll figure out the scoring system, and we'll get back to you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2. And with that, thank you for listening. And until next time,
Never tell us the odds.
In our experience, there's no such thing as luck.
we have spoken.